Hey y'all, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel where at least once a week I post videos on DIYs, mom tips, hair tips, and just tips, and apparently a bunch of other stuff. So if you're in that sort of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Today's video is a Valentine's DIY, and I just want to go ahead and kick it off by listing all the materials you need. This is a really inexpensive and easy DIY. It's just 2 projects, and most of the materials that you need for this can either be found at Dollar Tree or Walmart. Okay, so first we're gonna go in with the materials for the first project. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up. I find it easier if I already have all my materials laid out, as you're about to see, and you're actually not gonna see that red paper in the video because I messed it up on the first take, so ignore it. But everything else will be here. So we got our scissors, our glue stick, our skewers, our glue dots. I honestly think the double-sided tape will be easier to work with, but I had those glue dots left over from something else, so I decided to use them. When you cut the skewers in half, it's easy if you kind of make just a little snip kind of on the wood, and that makes it easy for you to just fold and snap it, and it'll still be a clean break. Like I just showed a second ago, you'll have one end that's flat and you'll have one end that's pointy. And when I said clean break, you see that it's really a clean break, so you don't have to worry about actually trying to cut them and hurting your hands with the scissors and all that. Just, a little cut and then snip, and we're actually going to be like impaling this chocolate. You don't have to use kisses. I use these Valentine's Day themed kisses, but I made something similar to this last year for my mom's birthday. Not last year. Yeah, last year with Lindor chocolate balls. So you could do something like that. Whatever kind of chocolate you want that has a wrapper and is thick enough where the toothpick thing can go in it, you can use it, and basically that's it. So next we're gonna get started on the flowers. We're gonna fold hamburger and then hamburger again, and then we're going to fold hamburger one last time. After you have folded the paper, you want to kind of draw out the way you want to cut it. You can just cut a complete circle if you want, or you could do more lines or less lines. It's all up to you, but I wanted these little flower looking things so that my rose petals or flower petals could be a little bit wavy. But depending on how much wave you want, depends on how many grooves you should cut into it. If you want like a really just smooth top, I would say only do maybe like 2 big old grooves, or like no grooves at all. Just leave it a circle, but play around, see what you like. And I did about 5 petals per skewer. I also want to point out I only do 6 skewers of chocolate. I'm actually going to put it in the mug that you saw in the beginning, so I didn't need too much with the little stuffed pig and all that. But if you want to just make this a gift all on its own, have like a whole bouquet of different chocolates and things like that, of course you would want more than 6. So here's where I'm putting my glue dot, and if you're using double-sided tape, you would put your tape. And all I'm gonna do is stick it on right up under the chocolate. I tried out sticking it directly on the chocolate before, and I found that when you do that, the tissue paper looks like it's like swallowing up the chocolate. Like you can't even see it at the end, which is lame. So unless that's what you're going for, in which case, I mean, go for it. But it didn't look right to me. So we're gonna do the glue dot under the chocolate, and then I'm gonna kind of pinch the flower onto it. As you can see, just like pinch, and it's gonna automatically kind of start crumpling up. And then after that, I take the whole thing into my fist, kind of like gently, and give it a little squeeze, and that creates like little wrinkles and helps bring it together a little bit more. I'm not saying ball it up, don't ball it up, but just like a little ruffle, and then you just kind of do the same thing for all of them. I don't put any glue or tape or anything in between the flowers all the way until the last one.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning.
Now, when I get down to my last flower petal, I put some of my glue stick glue directly on the stick, and kind of like the same thing we did the first time, except I leave a little bit of space, like a little tiny bit of space between the last petals, and I just pinch that onto the stick, and this is gonna hold the weight of the rest of them from sliding down and all that good stuff.
You and me just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me.
And that's basically it for the flower. You're just going to repeat this step a whole bunch of times. If you want, which is optional, you can cover it with the green leftover pieces from the grass flowers that I'm going to show in a few minutes. But honestly, you could leave it just as is and it's still going to look cute, especially if you're putting it in something, you know, that's not totally necessary. But either way, moving on. So next, with the sticks that were not pointy at the end, I'm going to turn it into the grass. So we're folding this paper hot dog, which is skinny side, hamburger, which is fat side, hamburger again, which is fat side, and hamburger one last time, which is the fat side. All right, so we got all our folds together, and then we're just going to draw out some blades of grass. You really don't even have to do the grass. I've done this before without it. It looks good. I just want to do something different. You could switch this out for different types of flowers, or, you know, more of the other kind of flower. It's whatever you like, whatever you feel like doing, go for it. Only thing I wouldn't do is like candy, because it's not pointy at the end, so it's going to be harder to put the chocolate on there, and you will probably end up either breaking or making like a big giant hole in your candy if you try. But so here we've cut, and now we're opening it up, and we're just going to poke a hole. When you're doing the holes, you could use a scissors to snip a little hole. I personally just poke the skewer through the paper and make the hole. It's pretty easy. So with this one, you're actually not using the glue dots or the tape, whatever. You're going to use just the glue stick and cover the entire stick almost with it. And you're also not bringing it all the way to the top. So you leave about 1.5 inches to 1 inch from the top, and you just squeeze that up on it. And I know it looks kind of crazy now, but once it gets in there with the flowers or in like the vase thing or whatever it is you're putting it in, it's going to look so much better. So I only did 2 per thing. And if you notice, one side of the paper's flat, where there's like no grass, I tried to kind of like do one end facing one direction and then the other end facing the other direction, so it could kind of look round, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that made sense. Hopefully it did. And then I take the leftover pieces that I had of the grass, and I just roll it down the stick so that it's all green. And I'm gonna go back and do the same thing on the roses as well, and it's just gonna all be uniform and nice. You may have to put a little more glue on the stick, because the glue stick glue is probably gonna dry fast, but this doesn't really take a lot. It's really fast, and that's it.
You just know how it feels when we're falling in love. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up.
Okay, so now that we've got our flowers and our grass looking beautiful, we're gonna move on to the second part of this project, or the second project, I guess. And here is the materials for that.
Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around.
Now for these, I definitely would say if you have double-sided tape, use it instead of the glue dots, because you're going to use a lot of glue dots, but the glue dots work actually perfectly fine too. You just use more. So we got a hamburger, and then we got, I believe, oh no, that's it, just one fold, sorry, I forgot. And we're gonna draw a shape that looks similar to a mason jar. Now this is really simple. Mine I'm going for wasn't quite this little cartoon, but this was as close as I could find. So we're going to take it, I basically drew a square, a rectangle, with a skinnier rectangle on top and a skinnier rectangle on top of it. So kind of like a little hat on top. And then I just cut the corners off of all the rectangles and made them rounded. And that was my mason jar. It was really simple to freehand. Of course, you could do this a lot nicer by finding a picture on Google and printing it out and just tracing it. Or even if you have a Cricut, you could just cut it on the Cricut, and of course it will be nicer. But this worked pretty well for me. So you're going to keep over that excess paper and use it as a band later. So we're all good. This is how it should look. It should be able to stand up. Make sure you did not cut the middle off, or else we're starting over. No, really, if you did, it's kind of like you could always tape the bottom back together, but that just won't look as good. So I left that middle part in case you have an X-Acto knife. You could cut it out and then you would have a guide for your band. But if not, just cut the whole thing out. And as you can see, I accidentally cut mine open, but no worries. At the end, you won't even be able to tell. So we're gonna use our glue stick and glue the tissue paper down to the back as a sort of background. I showed the note paper earlier because you could really put whatever you want in here. I put candy in one, and then I might like put like little messages or little jokes I find online in the other one. I don't know. You could really like put whatever you want in here that's small, like anything. It could be some jewelry if you have some earrings or something. I don't know. Or bracelet. I'm trying to think. I'm like, if loyalty was bigger, it could be like a bracelet or something, but whichever. So I'm just showing how I stick the Ziploc bag down to the tissue paper. And you saw a second ago how I cut the bag. I cut the top off, and then I just cut the bottom in half. If you're using small sandwich bags, you probably are not going to want to cut them in half, I think, unless it's going to be really tiny. This bag is kind of big. I got it at Dollar Tree. But here I'm just putting the top of the paper onto the bag. And now you see what I was talking about when I was like, you're going to use a lot of glue dots. Yes. And make sure you get one, well, I guess it's not as big of a deal if you didn't rip yours like me, but make sure you put one in the middle too, so that it's kind of closed on all the sides. Once it's all secured down, you're also going to want to cut off the excess bag from showing through the sides, and then make sure that the plastic is secured towards the top as well, and your whole thing should open up like this. Yay, that's pretty much it. So you're just now gonna see me putting candy inside. I would say this is about 4.5 by 3.5 inches long, and it was pretty big enough to fit a whole bag of M&Ms. So if you go by that sizing, it kind of gives you a reference. And since I actually put candy in this one, I put one more glue dot on the inside so that bag is closed and it's not falling out everywhere. But the other one I left open. So here's the band I was talking about. You could write a little message on it, or the person's name, or whatever's going on with the band. It's actually really completely optional. If you liked it better before, then don't even worry about it. I kind of think it makes the whole thing a little more stable as well. And so here I'm just measuring how big I need it to be, and I'm putting my glue dot on it, and boom, it's a band. So yeah, it's a band. So This is optional too, really, but I think it makes it look cuter, and it also makes it a little more sturdy in my opinion. But that's pretty much it. This thing is super easy, you guys, super quick, super cheap. And I think it's really cute, honestly, especially if you have like other gifts and you just want to kind of fill something up to make it look fuller. I think this is a good idea. And please let me know if you try it down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and also let me know if you have any ideas for any other videos you'd like to see me try. It doesn't have to be a DIY, it could be a hair tip, mom tip. And until next time, bye. I also want to say I hope everyone is safe and healthy, and I hope everyone has a great Valentine's Day. Okay, now bye for real.